What's up, everybody? Today we're checking out the More V2 all-tube boost pedal from Sushi Box Effects. So first off, this is a signature pedal from Doug Weiand from the band Edge of Paradise, and Doug worked with the guys at Sushi Box Effects to design an all-tube boost pedal that has tubes in it that are actually doing something. They're not in here for their good looks. They're not glorified light bulbs. They're actually running at 340 volts due to some electronic wizardry that I don't understand. The manufacturer describes it as thermionic emission, and that just sounds badass, so I'm just going with it. You will need a 9-volt or 12-volt power supply with 600 milliamps available. I used a 9-volt 1000 milliamp pedal for my demo, and it worked fabulously. So what you've got here is you've got 30 dB of available gain and a bass cut. That's it, super simple. So with the bass cut on, it works well in front of a high gain amp to tighten it up a little bit, which we're gonna do here in a minute into the playthrough. And with the bass cut off, I actually really like it in effects loops, and the manufacturer also likes it like that. So the method to the madness for the playthrough section is I'm gonna boost in front both of these amplifiers. What I've got here is I've got a Mesa Triple Rec Revision G. This is an original one, not a reissue. And then I've got a PV6505 Plus or 152, whatever you want to call it. And then they're going to both be going through my USA Randall cab mic'd up with a 57 on a V30 going straight into a Audioscape V1290 mic pre. And that's how you're going to hear it in the mix. And for all the clips you hear today with the playthrough and all the other clips you hear, I'm going to be using my signature Solar GC 1.6 killer tone model loaded with a Seymour Duncan Black Winter bridge pickup. Now let's check out the full mix. So now let's strip it back a little bit and just do a single mono riff on each amplifier. So what we'll do is we'll start with the 6505 Plus, and I'm just going to boost it in front with a single mono riff, toggling the pedal on and off, and then we'll go to the triple rec and do the exact same thing. Here we go. For this next section, I'm going to utilize the pedal in the effects loop of this 6505 Plus. Now in this example, I'm going to play some solo single note type of lead lines. We're going to toggle the pedal on and off. All right, keeping with the 6505 Plus, this time I'm going to play some solo lead lines, but I'm going to use the pedal in front of the amp, toggling the pedal on and off. So in this next section, I'm going to approach using the pedal like I would in a full guitar rig, right? So sometimes we use multiple pedals in guitar rigs. We all do that, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost the front end of the triple rec with an Eris Nemesis boost, and I'm going to put the more pedal in the loop of the triple rec. And then we'll toggle the pedal on and off, and you can check that out. So how about a little bonus amp action? So what we've got here is we've got a Marshall JSOM 800 2203 Zakk Wylde edition. Basically all it is a 2203 with 6550 output tubes. It's not a modded amp or anything like that. Marshalls came with 6550s in the late 70s and early 80s due to an EL34 shortage back then anyway, so it's nothing crazy. But what it does have is it has a killer effects loop. So we're going to utilize this in a rig situation once again. I'm going to hit the front end of it with a Fortin hex drive. I'm going to toss this in the loop, toggle it on and off. Let's check that out. Quick addendum here. I decided to do an example using the more in the effects loop of the 6505 Plus for a lead line, but this time showing the volume boost that it's capable of. Now, like I mentioned earlier, it's got 30 dB of available gain, which is more than enough to put your solo to where everyone on the planet could hear it at the same time. So be careful with that gain knob. I've got mine at about 11:30, almost 12 o'clock on the clock face, and it's more than enough to get my solo on top, all while adding some extra tube goodness. So that's going to wrap up the sound sample portion of the video, but let's talk about what we heard in those examples. So this pedal is described as giving you more of what you already have. But with the bass cut, you get a little less bass, which is awesome, especially going in front of a dual rectifier or any other amp that needs help tightening up the low end. But what this pedal did that I hadn't heard in a lot of other pedals is it kept this real chewy complexity in the bottom end, and it tightened it, but it kept this kind of like glorious chewy bottom end that the rectifier is kind of known for without slaughtering it. So that was really cool. In the 6505 Plus, which is a naturally tighter amplifier, it doesn't slaughter the low end, so it tightened it up too and gave it kind of a nice harmonic complexity, which I really, really enjoyed. I will say, though, that in the effects loop of the Marshall JSM 800 is where I really, really liked it. It gave some really nice harmonic complexity to that high gain Marshall sound, and I highly suggest you put on a pair of headphones or good studio monitors and listen to it in that fashion. And a quick note on all the clips where I use the pedal in the effects loop. Now, this pedal has 30 dB of available gain if you want it. So what I ended up doing was gain matching all those clips. And the reason behind that is because our brains perceive louder sounds as being better. So I wanted them to be on an even playing field so that you could just listen to the differences in the clips. So there you have it. That's going to do it for this demo. Thanks for checking it out. Make sure and check out the More V2 by Sushi Box Effects, and we'll see you on the next one.